the needs of the business evolve. So it's important that the teams will continue to learn and adopt to try new techniques. And equal well for them. My teams feel very excited. One of the attributes to award-winning team is that insatiable satiation to keep learning. Right, so that need to keep understanding and learning and trying new things is one characteristic that I've observed of high-performing teams.
Welcome to Data and AI Mastery, the podcast where we bring you cutting-edge insights, practical advice, and inspiring stories from the leaders shaping the future of data and AI across the globe. I'm your host, Raoul-Gabriel Urma, founder of Cambridge Spark, the leader in transformational data and AI upskilling, career development, and progression. In each episode, I will be diving into real-world case studies of companies harnessing the power of AI to drive innovation, reduce costs, and create new business opportunities. So whether you are an aspiring data scientist, AI engineer, or seasoned executive, this show is designed to give you the tools and knowledge to stay ahead in a world where data is transforming every aspect of business. Stay ahead, stay inspired, stay masterful. Welcome to Data and AI Mastery. Hello, Kevin. How are you?
Hello, Raoul. I'm very good, thank you. How about yourself?
Really good. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. We've known each other for a few years, so finally we're making it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for giving me this opportunity.
So Kevin, you've had a phenomenal career working at some very, very big names, Deloitte, FCA, AXA, TalkTalk. So let's unpack that a little bit, right? Because I think your story is super inspiring. You know, I've met you when you were doing a level 7 data science and AI apprenticeship, you know, in the C-suite. So could you maybe tell us, from everything you've gone through and you've seen, what are the top 3 skills that, you know, as a chief data and AI officer, you say are critical, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is the culture, and that bringing people along the journey with me. As a data scientist, when I was earlier in my career, I didn't appreciate it as much. So only when you start to see it, the true value that people are people, right? Although we deal with data numbers and technology, there is a big human element to it. So that transition into, look, we need to speak to people, we need to empower people, we need to bring people along the journey, and we need to listen to people's needs to address them. I think that's, if I had to talk to my 20-year-old self, I would say, look, start to build this relationship early on, because this will really help you, along with obviously everything else. The second part, and this is the community which is talking about, I've been talking about this, you remember me as a apprenticeship straight from the start. Let's get the foundations right, and there's a more increased focus about getting the foundations right. So that's the way that we think about setting the foundations and getting the basis right to help us to accelerate is another good aspect. The third part is people talk about return on investment. I talk also about route and speed to value. I'm talking about people, that financial side, which previously I was an equity analyst when I started my financial career. That really helped me to understand what are the value drivers, what are the cost drivers. Not only that, how can we measure return on investment, and as well as speed to value. The longer it takes to get the return on investment, depends on how you measure return on investment, the more it becomes costly. So those are the 3 scopes: getting to know people, getting the foundations right, but equally well, how you get the data financial profitability lens to what we do.
Okay, that's super interesting. So if you don't mind, let's unpack that a little bit, because one question that comes to mind immediately, you know, you've had a very technical career. So how important do you think it is to be technical when you take a position like a chief data and AI officer?
So that's a question that I hear coming in from a lot of people all the time, about that difference between the technical aspect and hands-on, enjoying solving problems yourselves, etc., versus leading and managing to others. There's no right or wrong. So it depends on what excites people. Both are important, and that's a position to the individual, but it's a trade-off that needs to be done. In terms of the question, having that technical background and growth through the ranks really helped me. It helps me in different aspects. The first one is it helps me to get respect from my teams much quicker. And respect is earned rather than given, right? So when my teams get stuck, if they throw a challenging problem at me and give them some ideas, that really helps to earn the respect very quickly, that they know that I know what I'm talking about, and I've been there, done that, and can share some of the experience with them. Equally, well, it helps me to identify some solutions. It might be a dead end. So having that technical route and being there, done that before, can look at some of those aspects and maybe shape the trajectory of where we are. And the third part is when I'm sitting with my fellow EXO colleagues, I can educate them a bit closer to what it means, obviously, without going into the too technical details. So keeping that right balance in there is important. And last but not least, it really also helped me to translate to my teams what is the XCOM conversation versus what does it mean for you guys. And that is important because it helps my team also understand. If we use the joke, the janitor put a man on the moon, a famous phrase in there, that really helps the data team to understand my role is important. This is the model that I'm building, or whatever the data product they're building. This is the value that is adding to the organization. Seeing that clear alignment really helps to thrive and empower people to do their job.
I'd like to take you a little bit, maybe in your more recent experience in kind of like more commercial companies, defining and selling ROI of data and AI initiatives can be a challenge. I think we can align that we can support revenue growth, we can support, cost savings and so on. But could you walk us through, like, how do you think about it? How do you sell those initiatives? To what level of depth would you need to go in, when you pitch to the rest of the exco or the board?
Yeah, absolutely. But if I had to take a step back and keep it high level, it's again coming back to speaking the language of the different Exco colleagues. It's not an easy task to do, because if you've got other 6 or 7 Exco colleagues, that means you need to pitch the same idea in 7 different languages. It's similar to saying Happy Christmas in 10 or 15 different languages, right? So that's what it translates to. And get the buy-in, so understand what are the drivers of the CFO, COO, CRO, etc., and pitch it from their point of view. This is why we're doing this piece of work, or why we're suggesting this piece of work, and thinking about the value that you're driving. Most of the time, the C-suite colleagues will look about the value and the risks and the trade-offs between the two. So pitching not the data models that we're building. That's why they employ me, to leave it up to me to make sure that we use the right techniques and we can trust the outputs. But then it comes to, why do we care? Why does it matter? And can we trust the outputs? So if you can answer those 3 questions, then you will start to push the right levers. So again, why do we care? Why does it matter? And can we trust the outcomes?
You mentioned that, when you pitch an initiative, you have to think about why it matters. So that's kind of like tapping to the pain, the problem, what we can get out of it. So why does it matter in practice? So I guess that's the ROI, the solution that, one could believe in. And then, are we actually going to believe it? Is it going to be a possible outcome? Could you walk us through one initiatives you delivered in the past that kind of fits this framework?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was at AXA, it's a health insurance company. So the aspect is to give people access to health, private health sector. So that's what was one of the mandates of the insurance sector. Like data scientists, there are good data scientists and there are average data scientists. It's the same with every practice in there. So the mandate that we had, one of the mandate was to triage the number of claims that come to us, to identify where can we give more help to other people that need it most. So some cases are not the same as others, and in some instances, some cases would need better support from inside doctors or physiotherapists, etc. Which, as you can imagine, you don't have enough resources to give all this additional support to tailor the treatment to everyone. So you need to have a triage problem. So the business case that we had in there is, how can we build up AI solution to help us triage between the cases, which are the cases that will require more support than others, and then how can we help those individuals. And the why do we care for this reason is twofold. So we can give customers better outcomes, so the people could get better tailored procedures or medical care in order to get healthier quicker. But equally well, that's on the outside. On the inside is how can we make the best allocation for the very scarce and expensive resources as well. So it's a win-win situation. And when you present it from that aspect, we can give better customer satisfaction, help us to achieve our mandate that we need to give better health to outcome to customers, but equally it would help us to improve our operational efficiency and manage the cost, which ultimately can lead to lower our prices and better competition. So that's the pitch. Why do we care? And then it comes to, can we trust the data? So that's when we build models, and there's different methods and techniques how you profile the data, make sure that the data coming in and out of the models that you build is what it is. There's methods you know better than I do, how the models, you can make model explainability, interpretability, model performance metrics, and what have you. And that's then present that information in a digestible manner to other C-suite colleagues to give them comfort that we can trust the data that is coming out of our algorithms or models that we build.
That's a great example. So, in such a project, who would be the sponsor, and what level of update would you need to give throughout the delivery of this initiative?
Yeah, absolutely. In this case, it was the chief operating officer in conjunction with this CDO that sponsored it, because obviously there's a data and there's operation aspect. So it was two people that co-sponsored that piece of work. And this brings in to your second question: how do we ensure that the business comes along the journey with us? And we tailored, when I set up this project, I tailored at the time the concept of having multidisciplinary squads, not just from a data perspective, but including also the business colleagues, the risk colleagues, as well as obviously data scientists, platform engineers, data engineers, and what have you in there. And business spoke really highly about bringing them at the end of each sprint. We worked in an agile methodology. So at the end of each sprint, we did a sprint demo where we presented what we set out to do in this initial sprint, what we achieved at the end of the sprint, and if there was a demo of the products that we delivered, we shared it with business. And at the end of each sprint, we asked the question: is this aligned to your expectations? And business felt very comfortable then to understand, yeah, we understand how the model is built. We are completely aligned that the data product is fit for our needs, and the business felt much more comfortable in owning the data products, using the data products, and deliver and drive the value that they committed to. So bringing the business along the journey in an actual way, obviously not day to day, but at the end of each sprint, was really key and instrumental in working collaboratively to develop data products that are fit for the business need to drive the value.
I hope you're enjoying today's conversation. If you're finding the insights useful, please do take a moment to subscribe to the Data and AI Mastery podcast and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Every new follow helps us reach more people and shed the incredible work being done by today's data and AI leader. All right, let's go back to the episode. Clearly the world is moving fast right now. There's, new techniques, new models. There's a different way of think about use case and solution for them, right? So I want to take you back to a few years ago. You did, the level 7 apprenticeship with Cambridge Spark. So can you walk us through, in your view, how important is it to upskill, and what was your experience like?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a topic which comes up every day, that, what I learned, I think it was about 5 or so years ago now, the world has changed so much. So the foundation stayed the same, but Gen AI have really took off since then. So it's important to keep up to date, both myself personally, so attending conferences, listening to other colleagues, reading publications, podcasts, etc. But equally well, my team, how can I ring fence time for them to stay up to date? Because otherwise there becomes a time when they won't be able to do their job. Equally well, the needs of the business evolve, so it's important that the teams will continue to learn and adopt to try new techniques. And equally well for them, it's my teams feel very excited. One of the attributes to award-winning team is that insatiable satiation to keep learning. Right, so that need to keep understanding and learning and trying new things is one characteristic that I've observed of high-performing teams. In terms of my own personal experience, I say that having done the apprenticeship was a very powerful experience to not just go in the theory, but also help me to apply the theory to practice. And that was very fruitful to the organization that helped me to do the apprenticeship. Like together with other people, we set up a whole department through the algorithms that we developed as part of the apprenticeship scheme. It was a risky project, so I think if it wasn't for Cambridge Park to help me read the apprenticeship scheme, most probably that project would have never got off the ground because it was high risk, high reward. But here we are now, we can talk about the success of the story. So it's important for people, I'd say, to keep an open mind, invest in themselves. It is not easy, obviously. If people are working and learning, it does take a bit of input, but it does pay back big dividends.
Yeah, and you won the Apprentice of the Year award with BCS, the British Computer Society. So, I mean, phenomenal result, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you. And I think you were with me on that day. You remember the surprise on my face. And that surprise comes in because I did this because I enjoy the job, right? And that's the message that I give to people. Make sure that you enjoy what you do. And if you enjoy what you do, the rest will fall in place. Right. So I always describe that my hobby and my job became the same thing. And I enjoy what I do, and that would drive the passion to learn, to adopt, to try new things. So that's the key success for me personally, to have invested so heavily in my career.
Amazing. And yes, I do remember the night very well, being there with you. Good times. So one question I often get asked by non-technical leaders, which I'd like to ask you, obviously we get excited by innovation. Data and AI can be channeled towards new customer experience, new innovative thinking, and so on. At the same time, especially your COO looking for, show me the money, cost savings, hygienic, incremental improvements, right? So more operational contents. How do you balance out, especially, when it comes to deliverable and your team, this kind of like conflicting position where we have to allocate time to deliver incremental operation improvements. At the same time, because AI is so disruptive, we have to think about innovation and new type of customer experience. How do you approach this dilemma?
Yeah, absolutely. And having lived in the health insurance sector and the telco sector, where that's one of the similarity, that the customer expectations are moving at a neck-breaking speed, right? So on one aspect, they demand better service, lower prices, and anything in between, as well as the competition between different players in the market. Right? So that creates the environment which you mentioned, Raoul, that there is the trade-off between moving at pace, but equally well thinking about the tech debt mountain that you can start in care. So how do you keep that trade-off between building sustainable long-term products that are aligned to the business value? Okay, so sometimes I see organizations that they go after the shiny products and losing that North Star. What does it mean for us? Why do we care? But equally well, there's always a trade-off between speed to execution and the tech debt that you are building. And that's what brings us back to the start of the conversation, that focusing on getting the foundations right is important, because getting the foundations right can then enable you to move up at pace with minimizing the tech debt pile that you have. So doing the early investment upfront, that's why I said it will pay dividends later on, because it will enable you to move at pace without building a whole mountain of tech that at some point you need to pay it, right? That's why it's called debt.
So what sort of foundations do you need? Like, what's the ideal, setup for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's no silver bullet to this. So you need to get your data foundations right. So you need to have sure that the data is in a robust way in terms of quality, in terms of accessibility, in terms of guardrails, in terms of governance. The governance aspect needs to be put in place as well. So do we have robust governance process that we build models in an ethical, sustainable way that are fully compliant without exposing unnecessary harm, both the organization and the consumers. Equal the infrastructure that we have. So then we start to think, okay, do we have our right infrastructure? Do we have the right platform? Do we have the right setup that can allow us to move at pace? You need also the culture. So to move at pace, you need to be able to bring the people with you at the same pace on the journey. So without that foundational education part, that can people understand why you're doing stuff, the risk that you couldn't care, how you mitigate the risk and the profit. That culture piece usually is the bit that slows you down a bit to convince people to come along the journey. And equally well, we thought about the skills. So we need our workforce to be able to build up data products that are robust in a sustainable way. Otherwise, as you mentioned, coding, etc. If the code is not robust, build up to industry standards, then you start to build up code degradation, code decay very quickly, very, very soon. So it is a multifaceted way that we need to look at. And once we get the foundations right in place, then the organization can execute at speed.
So to be a bit challenging on purpose, like how do you measure all of that, and how do you tell your CEO, all right, I've got the foundations in place, right? Because you think about data quality, governance, infrastructure, culture, and skills. What sort of KPIs or measure can you show and say, look, we're not quite there yet, but we close and now we're there? Or is it an ever ending sort of story? How do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned about KPIs, and that's something which is important, and something which, being 5 weeks into my role, that's exactly what I'm looking at. What is the maturity of our data products, for example? And that's when the skills come in, right? What does a good data product look like? The documentation that you need to have, the quality of the code, the end-to-end execution, the MLOps, if you want to go down that path, the scorecards that you need to have, etc., etc. So that's the experience when you come and you start to define what does good look like. You make sure that you use an agreement with other colleagues, because sometimes there are some trade-offs. There's obviously the North Star, but then there's also what is practically where we need to achieve and where to set the hurdle bar. And once you agree those, you follow with them. So in answer to your question, that's when the experience comes in. What does good look like on all those aspects? What does good data quality look like? So the missingness, the errors that you have if it's unstructured data, how does it look like in there? What metrics can we put in there to make sure that the unstructured data is in a good, robust way? And again, that comes to the individual's experience and to help shape those metrics in place.
Great. So makes a lot of sense. So, a maturity assessment, having experience around what good looks like, and showing the journey to get to what good is. So, Kevin, can I take you to a quick fire run of questions now?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
All right. So the first one is, what is a contrarian view that you might have in the data and AI industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we touched upon this, the last point about the speed to execution versus the tech debt. So we see a lot of people that wanting to go fast, which is perfectly fine, but I take the balanced approach. Okay, what is the tech debt that we are building up in order to get there? So I think that trade-off, I completely agree that the speed to execution is important, but sometimes that risk management aspect kicks in and say, okay, at what cost?
Yeah, that's really interesting. And educating the rest of the C-suite about it. It's true that tech dev is something that us as technical people, we really understand, but it's kind of hard for non-technical people to relate with, right? So, but it can bite you. Great. Second one is, how do you stay up to date as a leader? It's moving so fast these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And we touched upon this as well. In terms of staying up to date, as I mentioned, podcast, listening to people's views and thoughts, reading publications. There's quite a few publications, reputable publications, attending good conferences, courses if needs be. So it's a myriad. So the question is, how do you prioritize what is important and what isn't, and how do you summarize the information? Because there is a lot of information coming out at people. So how do you prioritize, how to focus on what's important, and how to summarize and retain that important information?
Great. Well, AI is quite helpful to summarize things these days.
Absolutely.
So 3 more personal questions now. What was your favorite subject at school?
Well, that's an interesting one. I'd say maths. So I really loved maths, and as a mathematician myself, it unlocks the foundations of how things work around you. So I always love to play with numbers and understand how things work.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's so nice to have tools to model the world. I love that. And what is your favorite programming language?
Yeah, so I love Python. The reason why, apart from it being heavily used, I think it gives you a good trade-off between speed to execution that C# or Rust can give you, right? So it doesn't compete with them, but it gives you good enough. But equally well, it gives people a high-level language that people can understand and relate to. So you don't need to go down to the low-level language, such as some other coding languages which I mentioned. Just make a coding language a bit harder for novices. So I think Python is a good trade-off between the power that you get and the ease to write the language and maintain it. When seeing people coming to me as a novice, what coding language do I start? I strongly recommend Python because of those trade-offs that I mentioned. And there's a plenty of support in there as well. So it's a very wide community of people that use Python that can support one another.
Agreed. I'm with you. And final question, what's your favorite music genre?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. So I played music in orchestra when I was younger. So I will love to listen classic music, in particular guitar. So when I was younger, I used to play the guitar in bands, etc. So the classical music part will be my favorite one.
Amazing. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Raoul.
I've really enjoyed this discussion with Kevin. I mean, what a inspiring career he's had working across so many industries and companies. So super smart guy. I love his answer to the question, how do you pitch data and AI initiatives? Like, what are the things you need to consider when you put in front of the rest of the exco, right? So the first question is, why care? Like really tapping to the pain and the business problem. Then why does it matter? So really channeling the ROI, the metrics, the solution, like paint the future and the outcomes that you could expect. And thirdly, do you believe it's possible? Are those outcomes you promise actually believable? So kind of like thinking about the risk and the accuracy and the expectation. So love that answer. And also was really great to hear from Kevin, what are the key components that make foundations right? When you take on the new role of a chief data and AI officer. So thinking about, of course, your data foundation, the quality, the catalog, the robustness, but we also talk about the tech infrastructure. We talked about the culture, the mindset of people, embracing data to make decisions, embracing AI for productivity, innovation. And finally, the skills, right? Assessing, do you have the right skills in organization to move at pace, but not just move at pace, move in a balanced way, right? Managing technical depth plus progress. So really fascinating conversation, really special to me, having known Kevin for many years. So thank you, everybody, and see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Data and AI Mastery. If you found value in today's discussion, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an insight from the leaders driving the future of data and AI. And if you're a data and AI leader looking to upskill your workforce with the fundamental data and AI skills to transform your business, Cambridge Spark is here to guide you every step of the way. Be sure to reach out to us on LinkedIn or on our website, cambridgespark.com. Until then, be sure to keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with data, and remember, mastery comes with continued learning and action. Until next time, stay ahead, stay inspired, and stay masterful.